Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are entering a different world entirely. This is not a list about value or affordability. This is a list about the absolute summit of watchmaking. The timepieces we're discussing today represent the finest craft, the rarest complications, and the most extraordinary engineering that human hands and minds have ever applied to a mechanical object. These are watches that collectors wait years to acquire, that auction houses fight over, and that future generations will study as benchmarks of what was possible in this era. Some of these will cost you more than a house, some more than a yacht, and every single one of them is worth every conversation it starts. Let's count them down. Number 10. H. Moser and Endeavour. Perpetual Moon 1801-100 with a watch that embodies a philosophy as much as a complication. The H. Moser and Endeavour. Perpetual Moon 1801-400 is the work of one of Switzerland's most fiercely independent manufacturers, a brand that has built its reputation on doing things properly, quietly, and without compromise. The perpetual moon phase complication inside this watch is accurate to 1 day's deviation every 1,027 years, not a misprint. The Fume dial, one of Moser's defining signatures, transitions from deep, smoky hues at the center to a luminous clarity at the edge in a way that no photograph truly captures. The hand finishing on the in-house HMC 801 movement is meticulous, with every surface beveled, polished, and anglaged by a single watchmaker from start to finish. There are no logos cluttering the dial, just pure, restrained artistry from a manufacturer that genuinely doesn't care about trends. The Endeavour Perpetual Moon is a watch for the collector who has moved beyond names and arrived at substance. It retails for approximately $28,000, $35,000 USD, and in this context, it is the bargain of the list. Number 9. Greubel Forsey Hand Made 1 is not just a watch, it is a manifesto. The Greubel Forsey Hand Made 1 was conceived as the ultimate answer to a question the founders of Greubel Forsey had been asking themselves for years. What does a watch look like when every single component is made entirely by hand, using only traditional tools with no CNC machining whatsoever? The answer took over a decade to develop and resulted in a timepiece where approximately 95% of all work is executed by hand-filed, hand-polished, hand-engraved, hand-assembled. The movement, visible through the sapphire caseback and partially through the dial, is breathtaking in its execution. Every anglage, every Geneva stripe, every polished sink is the product of human skill at its most refined. Greubel Forsey produces just a handful of these per year, and each one is different, bearing the individual character of the watchmaker who made it. Owning a handmade one is not buying a product. It is commissioning a piece of living watchmaking history. It is priced on application, with estimates beginning at approximately $500,000 USD and climbing from there. Number 8. A Lange Söhne Datograph Perpetual 410.025. We arrive at what many serious collectors consider the greatest mechanical chronograph ever made. The A Lange Söhne Datograph Perpetual 410.025 unites two of horology's most demanding complications, a flyback chronograph and a perpetual calendar, in a single movement of such extraordinary quality that it has been studied and admired by the watch industry for over 2 decades. The Lange manufacturer in Glashütte, Germany, operates on a different philosophy from Swiss watchmaking. Every movement is assembled twice, first to regulate it, then completely disassembled, cleaned, hand-finished to an almost incomprehensible standard, and reassembled again. The result is a movement that looks as though it belongs in a museum. 3/4 plate in German silver, hand-engraved balance cock, gold chaitons, and beveling so precise it reflects light like a mirror. The salmon-toned dial with outsized date and subdials is immediately recognizable to anyone who knows watches. The Datograph Perpetual is not the most complicated watch on this list, but it may be the most perfectly executed. It retails for approximately $150,000 to $180,000 USD. Number 7. Vacheron Constantin Traditionnelle 82172 belongs to the oldest continuously operating watch manufacturer in the world. Vacheron Constantin was founded in 1755, before the United States existed as a nation, and has never once stopped making watches. The Traditionnelle 82172 is the expression of that unbroken heritage in its purest form. A grand complications masterpiece housing a perpetual calendar, minute repeater, and tourbillon simultaneously. Three of watchmaking's most coveted and technically demanding achievements, in a case that wears with the effortless elegance only centuries of refinement can produce. The guilloche dialwork is executed on a rose engine lathe, a technique dating back centuries, producing patterns of such geometric precision and optical depth that they seem almost impossible. Every component of the caliber 3500 movement is finished to Vacheron's hallmark of excellence, the hallmark of Geneva, one of horology's most demanding quality certifications. The Traditionnelle 82172 is a watch you inherit, not just buy. It retails for approximately $500,000 to $700,000 USD. Number 6. FP Journe Tourbillon Souverain. We encounter the work of a watchmaker who is quite simply in a category of his own. François-Paul Journe learned his craft in the traditional Parisian school, trained as a watch restorer of historical masterpieces, and eventually founded FP. Journe to build watches the way they should be built, entirely within his own manufacture, with no compromises and no shortcuts. The Tourbillon Souverain was one of the first watches Journe produced, and it remains a benchmark of independent watchmaking philosophy. The movement is crafted in 18-karat rose gold, not because it looks better, but because gold provides superior lubrication properties for the gear train, a functional decision that reveals everything about how Journe thinks. The tourbillon regulator, visible through the dial, beats at a distinctive low frequency of 21,600 vibrations per hour, chosen for its specific mechanical advantages. Production is deliberately limited. Journe's manufacturer produces fewer than 900 watches per year across his entire collection, meaning acquiring a Tourbillon Souverain requires patience, relationships, and significant determination. It retails for approximately $180,000 to $250,000 USD, with secondary market values consistently exceeding that. Number 5. Patek Philippe Grandmaster Chime 6300A. We are now in the rarefied atmosphere of the top 5, and the air is thin indeed. The Patek Philippe Grandmaster Chime 6300A is, by almost any measure, the most complicated wristwatch Patek Philippe has ever created for sale, and Patek Philippe has been creating the most complicated watches in the world for nearly 2 centuries. 20 complications. Let that register. A grand and petite sonnerie, a minute repeater, an alarm, a perpetual calendar, a second time zone, all housed in a reversible case that presents 2 distinct dials, one on each side. The steel version, designated 6300A, was produced as a single piece for the Only Watch charity auction in 2019, where it sold for approximately $31 million USD, making it at the time the most expensive wristwatch ever sold at auction. The regular production version in white gold is itself extraordinarily rare and commands prices north of $2.53 million USD on the secondary market. The Grandmaster Chime is not a watch you wear to tell the time. It is a declaration of what human ingenuity is capable of. Number 4. Richard Mille RM 7201 belongs to the brand that reinvented what a luxury sports watch could look like and what it could cost. The Richard Mille RM 7201 is a flyback chronograph that represents everything the Richard Mille philosophy stands for: extreme materials, science, Formula One-inspired engineering, and an unapologetic rejection of traditional watchmaking aesthetics in favor of something entirely new. The tonneau-shaped case in grade 5 titanium, or carbon TPT, Richard Mille's proprietary carbon composite woven from hundreds of layers of carbon fiber, delivers structural rigidity and shock resistance that conventional watch cases cannot approach. The skeletonized movement, visible in full through the sapphire crystal, looks more like a racing engine component than a watch caliber, with every bridge and plate engineered for minimum weight and maximum strength. Richard Mille watches are tested to standards that would destroy most other timepieces. They are worn by Formula One drivers, tennis champions, and golfers competing at the highest level precisely because they survive conditions no other watch can. The RM 7201 retails for approximately $150,000 to $200,000 USD, and demand consistently outpaces supply. Number 3. Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Tourbillon 26510 BC. The bronze medal position belongs to a watch that sits at the intersection of icon and complication. The Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Tourbillon 26510 BC takes the most recognizable silhouette in watchmaking history, the Royal Oak, designed by Gerald Genta in 1972 in a single overnight sketch, and elevates it with one of horology's most demanding and visually captivating complications. The flying tourbillon, visible through an aperture in the iconic Grande Tapisserie dial, rotates continuously to counteract the effects of gravity on the movement, and in the flying configuration there is no bridge above the cage. It appears to float in space, suspended against the dial. The white gold case, with its 8 hand-polished hexagonal screws on the octagonal bezel, is finished to a level that makes the Royal Oak simultaneously the most sporty and most refined watch in Audemars Piguet's collection. The in-house caliber 2924 movement, visible through the sapphire caseback, is finished to a standard that rewards close inspection with a loupe. The Royal Oak Tourbillon 26510 BC retails for approximately $250,000 to $350,000 USD, and waiting lists are measured in years, not months. Number 2. Philippe Dufour Simplicity, a watch with no tourbillon, no perpetual calendar, no repeater, no chronograph, just the time, hours and minutes. The Philippe Dufour Simplicity is arguably the most admired watch among professional watchmakers and the most serious collectors in the world, and it achieves that status not through complication, but through an almost unattainable level of craft in its execution. Philippe Dufour is widely regarded as the greatest living watchmaker, a master whose finishing techniques are so refined that other master watchmakers travel to his workshop in the Swiss Valley d'Anjou simply to observe. Every component of the Simplicity is made and finished entirely by Dufour himself, or under his direct personal supervision. The beveling is flawlessly executed. The polished steel parts reflect like liquid. The engine-turned dial has a depth and character that reproduction cannot convey. Production has slowed to near nothing as Dufour has aged, meaning the existing watches have become increasingly scarce and increasingly valuable. On the secondary market, a Philippe Dufour Simplicity will cost you approximately $600,000, $1,000 USD, and that number rises with every passing year. There are collectors who consider this the most important watch of the modern era. They are not wrong. Number 1. Rolex Daytona in Platinum 116506, and at the very pinnacle of our list, a watch that needs no introduction, yet never stops commanding attention. The Rolex Daytona in Platinum 116506 is the rarest, most exclusive, and most coveted configuration of the most famous chronograph in watchmaking history. Rolex introduced the Daytona in Platinum as a limited production variant, and from the moment it appeared it was clear this was something different from anything Rolex had done before. The ice blue dial, exclusive to Rolex's Platinum models, is one of the most beautiful dials in the entire watch industry, a color unique to Platinum Rolex pieces that shifts in character, from pale sky blue to silver gray depending on the light. The Platinum case and bracelet have a cooler, weightier, more serious presence on the wrist than any steel or gold Daytona, and the quality of finishing is elevated accordingly. Inside, the manufacturer Caliber 4130, developed entirely in-house, is a masterpiece of reliability engineering, featuring a column wheel, vertical clutch, and over 70 hours of power reserve, regulated to chronometer standard. But beyond the specification, the Platinum Daytona means something. It is the ultimate expression of the watch that defined an era, made in the rarest material Rolex employs, in numbers small enough to make genuine acquisition a challenge for even the most connected collectors. Secondary market prices sit firmly at $75,000, $100,000 USD and above, multiples of the official retail, because demand for this watch is simply in a different universe from its supply. The Rolex Daytona Platinum 116506 doesn't just top this list, it owns it.